Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I want to address a question that I get asked quite a lot by people in private messages and emails, and that is TRADING212 or FREETRADE. Which is better? Which should you set up? And the simple answer is that it completely depends on you and what you want. So I wanted to make this video to make it easier for people to make a decision on which platform to use. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk about each of the different elements and then which of the platforms does what for each of these elements. But also, I decided to do a poll on both of my social media platforms, and it's quite interesting because I had very different answers based on whether it was my Instagram audience or my Twitter audience. So I'm going to paste the results here, but essentially on Instagram, FREETRADE won, and on Twitter, TRADING212 won, although by a very small margin. So it just sort of shows you it completely depends on your own experience and what you're looking for out of the platform. Anyway, let's dive in. So the first thing I'm going to talk about is ISAs. Now, both platforms offer an ISA. However, TRADING212 has a free ISA, whereas FREETRADE actually asks you to pay £3 a month for your ISA. So clearly, for me, the point there goes to TRADING212. Secondly, let's talk about foreign exchange. So of course, if you're buying a lot of US stocks, the exchange rate matters. TRADING212 do not charge any foreign exchange fees, whereas FREETRADE do. It's a very, very small amount for FREETRADE. However, if you are trading a lot, then of course it adds up. So the FREETRADE foreign exchange fee is 0.45% of the base FX rate on each US order placed. So again, in this instance, TRADING212 seems to win. Let's talk about the interface. So in terms of interface, I think personally for me, FREETRADE is the clear winner. And actually when I asked people why they voted for each individual company in my polls, FREETRADE got a lot of people talking about the interface. And for me, I completely agree. Their interface is really clean, really simple, and I think it's a better platform for beginners in terms of how easy it is to navigate and find what you're trying to do. It was actually the first platform that I started with, and it's through seeing one of my friends using FREETRADE and how simple and clean it was that I got encouraged into investing. I think if I'd seen TRADING212 as the first one, I may have been a little bit scared off. So I do think in terms of interface and complexity, FREETRADE gets the point from me. The next thing is customer service. So I have contacted both companies on multiple occasions because I've been investing with them for a while and I've had a lot of questions. And hands down, and this is another thing that people have said in my poll, FREETRADE customer service wins every time. They reply very quickly, they're very easy to get hold of, and they actually interact with their customers on social media, which I think for me is a sign of a great company that actually cares about its customers. Whereas if you look at the TRADING212 social media, they are just not active on there at all. They haven't posted for a long time, they don't reply to their customers. The amount of times I've tagged them in stuff or messaged them on social media asking stuff, and there's just been zero response. Also, in terms of contacting, in TRADING212, you go into contact and you just fill in a form, and then it sends off and sort of disappears, and you do get it into your email. However, with FREETRADE, everything is kept within the app, so I can go into like the chats that I've had with them and see them all under the contact us chats thing, and I find that a lot better because I can go back into conversations, I can see whether my message has been read, and I can also rate each of the people I've spoken to in terms of the conversation that I've had with them, which I think is really great. So let's talk about the details. So TRADING212, hands down, has the better detail for each stock. They give you all the financial information, historical data, ratios, everything that you might want to analyze a stock. Whereas on FREETRADE, you only get to see the graph of the share price over time. Share price itself is not the only thing you should be looking at when deciding whether or not to invest in a company. If you're a beginner and you're still wondering how to analyze stocks, I do have a video that I'll link up here somewhere so you can check it out. But with FREETRADE, you do have to do a lot of that digging yourself. So I've mentioned before, I use Hargreaves Lansdown for a lot of my research, and quite often also TRADING212. The other thing to say is actually on TRADING212, they also have the ability to log into your account on the desktop, whereas as far as I'm aware, FREETRADE is only an app. I've personally not used the desktop version of Trading212, but I do think it's a great thing where if you really want to look at the detail and things, it might be a good thing to have that ability to look at those graphs and things on a bigger screen. So the question that I get asked a lot is, how do these platforms make money? They are completely commission free, and a lot of people I think struggle to understand, and I definitely struggled to understand in the beginning, like if all these other brokerages charge like £5–10 per trade, how do these platforms not charge you and still manage to make enough of a turnover to be a viable company? So I got in touch with both Trading212 and FREETRADE to ask the question, and these are the responses that I got back. So Trading212 said, our platform is making money from its CFD business, where the main revenue comes from the spread and the interest swap. So I'm not going to go into too much into the CFD business, but I personally am quite against the fact that Trading212 offer CFDs. These are contract for difference, and even when you sign up and you try to click the CFD platform, it actually comes up with a pop-up warning you that the majority of people lose money on this platform. Unless you are really experienced and you know what you're doing, I wouldn't go anywhere near the CFD platform. And the fact that this is the main way that they make money just shows you how much money other people lose. FREETRADE, on the other hand, sent me a link to this article on their website, and it essentially says that their current revenue streams come from the ISA charges, which I mentioned earlier. They charge £3 a month for their ISA, and that 0.45% foreign exchange fee, as well as a small amount of interest earned from banks on customers' cash. So what I'm assuming that means is where you've put the money into FREETRADE and you haven't invested it straight away and it's just sitting in your account as cash, they will make money on that. They are also planning to come out with another revenue stream, which will be a premium account with loads of different features, and again, you will pay monthly for those accounts. I will do another video about ISAs. I think a lot of people misunderstand how ISAs work and why you actually should get one and when. So I will address this in another video, but for now, let's just stick to the topic of this one. The next thing I want to mention is referrals. Both platforms offer free shares for referring other people. So you will notice in my descriptions for every video, I have a link to Trading212, which means that when you use my link, both you and I get a free share. And I mention a FREETRADE link as well, but I say you have to email me in order to get one. But essentially, through using the referral, both you and I get a free share, and then you can invite your friends into the platform and also get free shares. On Trading212, there is a 20 referrals limit, which means once you've referred 20 people, you can no longer refer anyone else. Your link will still work for a free share for them, but you will no longer make that money. On FREETRADE, on the other hand, there are unlimited referrals, so you can invite as many people as you want. But the one thing that I keep seeing that people don't seem to understand is that on FREETRADE, you have to request a new link for every single person you refer. So where you go in and get your referral link, you can't just paste that in your YouTube description and hope that everyone will use that same link and you'll get loads of free shares, because the second one person uses it, that link is no longer valid. So that's a little bit of a pain in FREETRADE. However, I have spoken to them and they are planning to change that, and they will have like a standalone link at some point in the future. The other thing to mention about free shares is the value of the free shares that you get tend to be a bit higher on the Trading212 ones. So with all the free shares I've got on Trading212, they're all around like £10, whereas on FREETRADE, they all seem to be under £5. However, that's like for the majority of the shares. So obviously they own a certain amount of shares that they'll be able to give out, and most of them will be lower value. But you do have a chance to get higher value shares, and on FREETRADE, the highest value one I got was £16, and on Trading212, the highest value one I've got is AstraZeneca, which was £85. Which is pretty awesome. So on the referrals, I think for me, they both sort of get a point, because although Trading212 has a standalone link and higher value free shares, FREETRADE has unlimited referrals, which to me is also an amazing thing. The other thing to mention is the availability of stocks. So at the moment, Trading212 has far more stocks available to invest in. For example, REITs. At the moment, FREETRADE is still limited in the amount of stocks it has, although recently they've been adding so many new stocks to their platform. I think the other week they added like 250 new stocks, which is great. But for example, when I wanted to invest in Realty, the US-based REIT, FREETRADE didn't have that as an option, so I had to get that on Trading212. So the last thing I wanted to mention from my own perspective, and then I'll show you what some of the other people have said, is Trading212 has the option to do limit orders and stop losses, as well as they have up-to-date pricing information real time, which means the price you see when you buy is the price you're going to pay. Whereas on FREETRADE, they sort of put down a mid price. So the prices are slightly delayed and they take a mid price. So it's not the current live price that you see. Generally, it doesn't make a huge difference. But again, if you're doing big transactions and stuff, it can add up. So what they said about it was, the live price you see in the app taken from the market reflects the mid price of the stock. This is similar to the difference between the FX rate you might see on the news and the rate you get if you go buy the currency at a bureau de change. Stocks are rarely actually bought and sold at the mid price unless you are trading extremely large quantities. So that's what I just said. When executing your order, we take quotes from multiple sources to ensure that we get the best price possible for you. So again, unless you're trading like huge quantities, it's not a big deal, but it is something to consider. What I mentioned about limit orders and stop losses, so on Trading212, you can put in a limit order and say, I want to buy X shares of this stock, but this is the max I want to pay. So you put in a price of the stock, and Trading212 will monitor the price, and the second the price drops to the amount you're willing to pay, it will execute the order for you, which is awesome. Trading212 are also coming out with a feature at the moment, which is auto invest and pies. I think this is amazing, and it'll basically be a feature where you can set up like a percentage pie of how you want your stocks to look, and then you have the option to auto reinvest into like your dividends and things into these stocks at the same percentages, and automatically rebalance your portfolio to reflect the percentages that you want as well. Not going to go too much into that because I still haven't got the function. I have signed up, so hopefully I'll get it soon and then I can do a bit more of a review on it, but I think that's pretty cool. On the other hand, FREETRADE is a really new app and they are still developing a lot of features. They've got a timeline of things that they're going to offer, and I think the future is really promising. And if you don't believe me, just look at their latest crowdfunding. They raised millions within like 2 days. It's brilliant. So it just shows people really do believe in the platform. So I wanted to give you a little bit of feedback from other people as well, because obviously my opinion is my own, and I really wanted to reflect what other people have said to hopefully help you make your own decision. So for those that favoured Trading212, we've had Ewan say so much more information on stocks, less gamification of investing, and auto invest. We've had Stan say Trading212 is easier to use and understand, information is more readily available, and stocks are easy to find. We've had Tom say FREETRADE doesn't always display the correct price, so definitely Trading212. We've had Moneymaster Jake say I prefer the way that Trading212 categories shares, too many categories within FREETRADE. We've had Riss say 0 fees, more stocks and ETFs available, no extra charge for ISA accounts, and better features. We've had Jamie say the new pie feature is unreal, it saves me hours rebalancing my portfolio each month. We've had Amit say access to more market stocks and ETFs. In terms of FREETRADE, we've had amazing team, easier to use. We've had Laura say prefer the layout and the viewing modes. And then on my Twitter, we've had Reggie say the FREETRADE has more aesthetic user interface, beginner friendly, ETF ongoing charges are easily found, quick customer service, and roadmap for updates, which is what I've said before about them having the timeline of what they're going to be adding to the platform. Trading212 has better analytics, financial information, quicker cash settlement and withdrawal, more accurate live prices, no ISA charge, price alerts, and auto investing. Currently using both, despite Trading212 being the superior app, I find myself drawn to and liking FREETRADE app more from a personal perspective. And I think that's what I'm trying to get across here. My personal opinion is exactly aligned to that last comment, which is, although in theory Trading212 comes across as the superior app, for someone who's just beginning, I think that FREETRADE wins hands down. It's less complicated, and unless you are investing tens of thousands of pounds, it's really not going to make that much of a difference. The only thing I would say is, if you want to be investing in an ISA, you probably want to go with Trading212. I personally wouldn't be paying £3 a month for my ISA, because unless you're making more than £3 a month in dividends, you're going to be losing money. But also, unless you're making more than £2,000 a year in dividends, you don't need an ISA. My personal plan, I will tell you in my video about ISAs. The other thing to watch is actually my video about the tax rate on REITs and things, which again I'll link here, because there are certain circumstances where actually, even if you're not making that £2,000 a month, you might want an ISA. For example, if you're investing in REITs. But yeah, I have very mixed views on ISAs, but I do now have an ISA with Trading212 because I put my REIT investments into the ISA. Hopefully you found that helpful. I do think that it's probably worth getting both and figuring out which one you like. It's kind of what I'm doing. I signed up to both and I'm figuring out what I like about each one, and I'll probably keep both and keep investing in both at the moment. But if you're not paying for it, it's probably worth checking out both, considering they are free. If you haven't signed up yet and you do want to, check out my link down below for Trading212. And if you want to sign up to FREETRADE, let me know and I'll request a link for you. Hopefully that's been helpful, and see you in the next video. Bye.